Así arranca la primera parte de este programa, así arranca el Es Esto, la fábrica del día de la fecha, esta sección en donde pensamos, repensamos, redefinimos todo lo que tiene que ver con la industria de la música. Una actividad que hace un puñadito de años nada más precisaba de barcos, de aviones, de container que distribuyan de un lado al otro del planeta Tierra todo lo que tenga que ver con el arte, desde un vestuario, de una obra de teatro. Pienso en la del tejado esa, bueno. Pienso en algunas que otras obras de teatro y un montón de cosas más. Y esos cambios, revoluciones, para hablar de todos estos cambios, revoluciones, marchas para adelante, para atrás, para el medio y para adelante que han pasado en estos últimos años, es que nos nutrimos de diferentes diálogos y hemos hablado con organizadores de festivales, vestuaristas, sonidistas, creadores de contenidos digitales y músicos, muchos músicos, como es el caso del día de la fecha, en donde estamos hablando con los amigos de Swiss Pleasure que ya están conectados con nosotros. Raulo, arranca vos, somos una bocha hoy.
Sí. Hello, can you hear us? You're mute. Now it's okay. It's okay, sound check. It's
Yes, perfect. At least for me.
Okay, perfect.
Also, all good.
Perfect. We are live. We are going to start with the interview. I'm going to make a little translation for the Spanish listeners. So please tell us your full name, where are you from, and how old are you?
My name is Agathe Lanclan. I'm French, but I live in Berlin for the last 5 years, and I am soon 33 years old.
Perfect.
I'm okay, next. All right, I'm Alia Gardiner. I'm half British, half Pakistani, but I grew up in the Middle East, and now I live in Berlin, and I am 36 years old.
Okay, you can unmute everything. It's okay. It won't make any noise. Perfect.
Sure.
Excellent.
Wonderful. And then, I guess that leaves me. So my name is Claire Pichon. I'm also French, like Agathe, born and raised around Paris, but I've been living in Berlin for the last 5.5 years now, and I'm a bit older than Alia.
It's okay.
I'm 37.
Perfect. I'm over 40, so it's okay, no problem. Estamos con Ágata de Francia, que tiene 33 años, Alia que es de Pakistán, tiene 36, y Claire, que también es de Francia, y todos viven en Berlín, así que hay una mezcla, sí, mano.
No, ¿en qué idioma se comunican ellos?
Sí.
¿Cuál idioma aprenden?
When you speak in English, in French, or in German?
Between us.
In English.
In English?
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, mostly in English, but we sometimes try to introduce Alia to some French words. And we do try a little bit of German sometimes, but Alia is our expert at German speaking. She's the one who's the best at German.
It's a hard language. German is really hard for us to speak. Sí, perfect.
¿Y hablan suizo?
And Manu is making joke. And you speak Switzerland language or not? Nothing.
No.
I mean, we speak French. That's one of the language of Switzerland. So
it's okay.
I guess a third of it.
Perfect. And can you tell us which is your first memory of you listening to music?
Actually, I do remember it. I had this. Maybe some people had it as well. I had this like Sony red cassette player for kids. It was like this tall thing, you could put cassette and you had like 4 or 5 buttons that would like make this really big noise when you would press them. And I would listen to the Disney movies, but like on cassette and like shortened for kids, you had like some songs and like the gist of the story. I think that's my first.
You are not the first one that have that. So we have some people from California that have exactly the same, and they talk about Disney music. Perfect. And for you, Alia and Claire.
Sure. I think the first memory I can think of is my parents had like a home sound system, and I remember I think I must have been 4 or 5 years old, and they were playing Elton John, and I was jumping on the couch.
Perfect.
I remember.
Beautiful.
Okay, it's funny you say that because I was kind of like going through my catalog of memories and trying to pinpoint maybe the first thing I remember, and I think I don't know if it's a real memory. You know how sometimes you think you have memories, but you're not sure if it's a real memory or not. But when I was, I don't know, I must have been like 3 or 4 years old, maybe 4 or 5 years old, because it was like preschool, and you know, in preschool, like they make you nap. You always have the nap time. And it actually took me years to remember what song it was, because I just had that memory of the song and couldn't really pinpoint what it was. And I remember once they played Honesty. It's Billy Joel, right?
Yes.
By Billy Joel. And I remember they played that where we were, and I guess that's my first like memory, like first music that really marked me as a kid.
It's a kind of sweet song and a hard song. It's a mix. To nap is like,
Yes.
honesty, wow. Bueno, estábamos hablando de los primeros recuerdos escuchando música, y Agatha nos dijo que tenía un reproductor de Sony para niños y ahí escuchaba música de Disney. Alia estaba en Pakistán y escuchaba en un sound system de los padres, escuchaba Elton John y le gustaba mucho, y Claire nos contaba que en la hora de dormir, cuando estaban en el colegio, cuando era muy pequeña, cantaban Honesty de Billy Joel, así
Honesty
que
de Billy Joel.
raro, sí. Muy bueno. Sorry the question, but when you meet in Germany, or you were friends some time before?
We met in Germany, actually. I think we started to play together 3 years ago. And since then we've been like playing music every week or so.
But where did you meet? On a bar, in a school, university? How was that?
Working.
I think we actually met through a Facebook group where I was looking for people to jam with. That's how I met Claire. And we met in the park the first time after we decide when we wanted to meet. And then when we were looking for a guitar player, we posted ads on some music forums from Berlin. That's how we met with Alea.
And when you were young, which people you meet? You meet like rock and roll people, punk people, what kind of stuff when you were in your youth?
We probably have very different experiences there. I'm so curious to hear everyone's answers. Okay, sorry, I took. So my very first personal experience with music was actually very different from what we're doing now. I actually used to sing in the children's choir when I was a kid. So mostly when I was younger, a kid, I was more in contact with people playing or singing quote unquote classical music, I would say. And then I guess from there, I had a bunch, obviously, because I had lots of friends in my choir, and we were around the same age, and we were interested in different things. I think we all, some of us at least, we all started taking an interest in different things. And I had friends who started also having their own bands, making some of them making more rock or punk music. And then some of them, it's so funny to see how some of them have evolved now, and some fell more into the electronic music scene, techno music, etc. It's kind of that's how it all unfolded, at least from my end.
And for you, Agatha and Alia.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, in school, I was involved in the orchestra, so I was also around a lot of classical music. My dad plays tenor saxophone in a jazz band, so I was also hearing a lot of jazz at home. And then my immediate peer group, it was mostly a lot of rock and punk, because we used to skateboard. So yeah, it was.
It's a mix. Classical, you play classical, your father plays jazz, and your friends are rock and punk. Beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful. Muy bueno. Sí. And for you, Agatha?
My friends didn't really listen to the same music, but my older brother did, and I would spend my pocket money on making presents for my friends and family, but he would spend his pocket money on buying like CDs, and I would like sneak into his bedroom and then steal them and then listen to them.
And which kind of music?
Oh, that was like the golden era of rock from the 2090s kind of thing. Back then in France, there was a radio station that was quite famous that would like broadcast all the punk rock music from the 2000, like, I don't know, Sum 41, Blink, all these kind of things. And they would make compilations, they would like release compilations, and then you would have all the best tracks that you would like as a kid, and I would listen to them.
How do you feel about rap music in the 90s in France? It was really big, no?
I think so. I mean, a lot of it was coming from the UK and the US, I think.
Okay.
But there are some bands in France that really left a strong mark in the landscape, I think.
I'm a fan of No One Is Innocent. I don't know if you... I'm a big fan of them. They are really rock guys.
They were quite big.
Sí, I love them. Bueno, nos estaban contando un poco todo el background musical que tiene, y es muy gracioso porque vienen de diferentes palos cada uno. Claire nos contaba que estaba en el coro y tenía muchos amigos de música clásica, y es muy gracioso como la gente del coro de la música clásica después se metió en la música electrónica y en el techno, ese tipo de cosas. Alia nos contaba que el padre tocaba el tenor en una banda de jazz. Él tocaba música clásica con la guitarra, y bueno, y después y tenía muchos amigos rockeros, y Agatha, una mezcla terrible, y Agatha nos contaba que era así un poco de todo, y que era muy fanática de una radio. Ahí apareció la radio que tocaba mucho punk, y lo que les estaba preguntando por la escena de hip hop y de rap en los 90, dice que bueno, que ellos no le daban mucha pelota, pero bueno, conocen a No One Is Innocent, que a mí me encanta. Manu.
Sorry for my English, is not the best. Alia, can you recommend me some Pakistan music? Some artists?
Oh my God.
Because I don't know anything from Pakistan.
We like to know that kind of things.
Sure.
Two artists.
Unfortunately, I actually can't recommend you much. I would like... Yeah, I don't have that much knowledge about music from Pakistan. I would have to ask my mum.
No, it's okay. But for example, some jazz music that you know from your father, that kind
from
of
my
thing.
dad.
Sí.
I mean, all the usual greats like Coltrane, Rollins.
It's the standard.
And more modern ones, I guess, like Joshua Redman, Chris Potter. Yeah.
Perfect. Ahí está.
Yeah, but he was more into the free side also. So, Ornette Coleman and stuff. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. A lot of music here. Wow, vienen con un background musical super diferente. And two more questions about personal stuff. Please, we want to know if in Pakistan, in France, and in Germany, you have to pay to study money in all those countries, or you can get
study music.
Sí, to study music. Sorry for that. To study music, you have to always to pay, or you can get some free lessons.
Like in France, when you're a kid, you can usually go to city schools, where it's not free, but it's made affordable for kids. But then afterwards, I don't know, for me, I'm an amateur musician, so I didn't study music per se, not professionally.
Would you say that you do get at school, in high school at least, you do get some music classes? They're very high level. It's more like an introduction to a music theory, and they usually force you to play the flute. Because that's the cheapest and easiest instrument. I think it's like a trauma for every single parent in France having to bear.
I don't know why the flute. Everybody in America, in Europe,
and it's small. I don't know.
I don't know why. People from all around the world, I play the flute. Why the flute? It's incredible. It's incredible. See?
So you get that, and I think it really, I think it's more like a community thing. In some, I don't think it's like automatic. Maybe in some communities you get some free classes, but I think otherwise the typical thing to do in France would either go like get a private teacher, or you go to the conservatory. I don't know if this is how you call it, and then. It doesn't have to be super expensive. To be honest, I don't remember how much I don't know how much my parents paid for my classes. Sorry, maybe it was expensive and I'm like downplaying this. But from what I remember, it's they're usually, working with the city. So I think you can get, especially if you're not, if you don't have that much money that you can spend on this, I think you can absolutely get, you can absolutely get like a cheaper price, etc. So that it's a bit easier for everyone to have at least some access to music education.
Manu, si te parece arrancamos con la etapa
sí.
Perfecto, listo. Sí, I was asking Manu if he has any question. We are going to start with the introduction of the band. How did Swiss Pleasure begin, and why you put that name to the band?
Oh. Go ahead. Alia, it's your turn.
Me? Oh, go ahead. How did it form, or like what were the beginning stages, or?
As you like. You can answer whatever you want.
Okay. I mean, originally you could say we were a cover band.
Cool.
We mostly were taking like songs. New songs, and also songs from like the 80s, and we just learned covers together. And at that time also we were 4 people, so we had a singer, a dedicated singer, Magali, who then left for France, so we became a 3-piece. And I think it was right about when we became a 3-piece that we decided to start focusing on our own original material. And at that time, we'd already sort of formed a good idea of, in some ways, a good idea of like what we liked, the music we liked, the sound we liked, kind of the directions we were interested in going in. And regarding the name, I don't know, Claire, maybe you want to take this one.
Yeah. So the name, it's. So we used to practice in that specific studio in Berlin. It's a quite famous studio place in Berlin, and it's part of this bigger, I don't know how you want to call it, like it's bigger area where you have a bunch of clubs and bars. There's even like a skate hall and a bowling area, etc. And they had this massive beer garden. Obviously it's Germany, so they obviously had a beer garden. And we were grabbing a drink there once after practice, and we had started brainstorming ideas for a band name. And we got to verify, because for the longest time there was a debate about whether it was a truck or a mountain gondola. You know those gondolas when you travel to the mountain. And we were seeing this thing on the other side of the fence of the beer garden, and it was actually a gondola, which read Swiss Pleasure. So the story behind this is that actually in this area there was also a fondue hut. This is very random, but they had like this advertisement for Switzerland, and they had this gondola which read Swiss Pleasure. Actually, it's moved now, and it's been moved. The fondue hut is now near a concert venue in Berlin, where we recently played. So we actually got to finally take a picture with it. the origin of our name. And yeah, essentially we had been discussing, we want to find a name that's easy to remember and easy to understand if you're having to shout it in someone's ear during a party. Very specific. And I don't know, we fell in love with it. We loved it, and never looks back.
No, it's a clever idea. It's like Swiss pleasure. You got it. No, perfecto. Sí. Y muy bueno lo que acaban de contar de bueno, empezaron como una banda de covers de canciones nuevas y también de los 80, eran 4, después quedaron ellos 3 y lo que nos estaba contando, bueno, que estaban hay un lugar en donde ellos ensayan, que son como unos estudios y salas de ensayo, y obviamente tienen el famoso Beer Garden en Berlín, tienen el lugar a donde toman cerveza, y estaban ellos tomando cerveza y había un anuncio, una placa que decía Swiss Pleasure y no lo podían creer, bueno, y ahí después de un debate les quedó ese nombre, y después ese cartel lo movieron, y justo dio la casualidad que lo movieron para un lugar a donde ellos tocaron, así que bueno, tienen fotos también con el cartel, todo, así que sí, increíble. You released a first single, Charcoal, we listened to that, and then you release an EP now. You have many differences in the recording process since the first single and the EP, or it's more or less the same?
Actually, we recorded the 3-4 songs of the EP over the same weekend, but we released them over time. But the songs are the 3 first songs we actually wrote, and some of them we started. I think Charcoal is the first song we ever worked on, and we started to work on it 3 years ago, and it kind of went through a lot of changes until its current form right now.
But in the studio, you were making all together, or you make it in parts? How was that?
It was so I think the way we approached it in the studio is actually very much in line with the way that we approach songwriting together. So we do everything together. Like usually someone will come up with an idea, and then we'll just meet up with the expectation that everyone is pretty much in charge of writing their own parts, just so that we can make sure, that everyone has their voice obviously in the process, but that we also have everyone's personality coming through all of the songs. And I guess the way we recorded was quite similar. So we recorded everything live, so to say, except for the vocals, which were recorded separately. But all the instruments, like we laid down all of the instrumental parts together as like a live process, which felt more in line with the way, I guess, the way we approach our songs. We're not necessarily like striving for that extremely like perfect sound, perfect note, like not having any mistake in the way that we record. That's not really our spirit. And so that's how we went about it, essentially.
And it's not so cold, ¿no? When you make it live, it's not perfect. Bueno, lo que nos estaba contando, yo le pregunté si había muchas diferencias de grabación entre el primer single que sacaron, Charcoal, que lo escuchamos recién, y el EP que sacaron, y me dijeron que no, que son canciones que la grabaron todos en un mismo momento, en un estudio, y todos juntos en vivo. O sea, y que no son tan perfeccionistas. Ellos prefieren que sea humano y que tenga las partes de cada uno como presentes, y eso también es parte de la manera de componer, que llegan todos, o sea, están todos involucrados en el proceso de composición, y cada uno tiene como su parte, y después van al en vivo. You understand something of Spanish? A little of Spanish? Perfect. Thanks. Thanks for that.
No, me gustaría que le preguntes cómo manejaron el sonido de la batería.
Sí.
Y después que le preguntes si van al estudio a grabar con las canciones terminadas o las terminan de componer en el estudio, porque me da la sensación de que hacen todo así como...
Sí, que les queda un margen. Manu wants to know...
No, como que hacen todo en grupo.
Manu wants to know about the drum sound. How do you manage that? And if you, when you are in the studio, you have everything made, o sea, the song is complete, or you have some things to change?
For the drums, it was my first time recording drums,
Wow.
So I trusted the engineers a lot. It was a kit from the studio, and I brought my own cymbals, but we damped a lot of the sound to get something a little bit more, 70s kind of sound, like rock 70s kind of sound. And I've also like looked into the recording engineer is also a drummer, so like we digged into his set of cymbals to also maybe like bring other colors that I don't have when I'm playing on my own cymbals. And then, does that answer your question?
It's okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. And then when we arrive in the studio, the structure of the songs is pretty much done. The overall intention is already set. But for example, the saxophone piece in the song, we added them on the studio, and that was not like something we planned to do. It was really just like on the spot thinking, okay, is the only Alia is playing the saxophone.
Ooh.
And so that was a good occasion because she could actually, record both of them, which is not something we can do live because she only has two hands.
Perfect. Bueno, sí, you work a lot with music, I think. You're always thinking about music and you work a lot. That is beautiful. Bueno, tienen un trabajo, Manu, me parece hecho, y son unos enfermos de la música. Me parece que les encanta porque están todo el día produciendo. Y bueno, lo que nos contaba Manu, le preguntó por el sonido de la batería y el proceso de terminar las canciones en el estudio. Dice, por ejemplo, en la versión esta de Charcoal, el saxo no estaba terminado, o sea, lo metieron.
No estaba previsto.
No estaba previsto directamente, sí. Y lo metieron ahí en el estudio, lo tocó Alia, y después sí tratan de ir con todo más o menos armado, pero bueno, hay un poco de juego en el estudio. Y lo que nos decía Agatha, que es la primera vez que grabó baterías, que ella llevó todo su set de platos, pero también jugaron con el set de platos del productor, o sea, de la persona, del ingeniero de grabación también, que les prestó cosas, y trataron de buscar un sonido medio 70s de baterías. Así que bueno, están con la cabeza, están trabajando un montón, porque la primera vez que grabó, great job recording drums.
Yes.
Incredible. You make a lot of effort to make things good, I think, so, because of the songs are really beautiful and they have a good sound. And you name the first EP, you name it Heliotropia. Why you name it like that?
It was a long process. We actually hesitated for a very long time. So you might have noticed that all the visual identity that we created around the EP has this like purple/light pink tint to it. So actually, I think it might be a bit unconventional. I don't know, but the way that we approached the whole project is that we actually we first shot the pictures that we wanted to use for our first EP with a friend of mine who's an amateur photographer, well, semi-amateur photographer, and we really liked the visual identity. And so when we were looking for the name of the EP, we were trying to find ideas that would remind people of both that sort of like visual aspect with like the purple and the pink, and that was also somewhat in line with the content of the songs. Obviously, we also did like a lot. We also did a lot of the photo shoots that we did were outdoor photo shoots, and we were in some places where there were like a lot of flowers, etc. And so Heliotropia is coming from there. The heliotrops, is that how you call them in English? I think are purple flowers. I think you have different colors, but they're like purple flowers, and we really like that name, and we thought it was also. It also had a nice sound to it. It's probably not extremely unique, but it seemed unique enough to us that we felt comfortable to go with this name.
No, beautiful. But you're looking for things to be unique in your band. You're searching for that.
I don't know if it's so much about uniqueness as identity. Okay. I guess I think we just want to make sure that whatever we do has its own identity and it reflects both who we are as people, but also our experiences. So it's difficult in 2024 to be extremely unique. I mean, like so much has already been done and has already been said. I think then it's more a matter of how you blend your influences, what you take from them, and then how you present them to the world. And I guess the way you present things to the world can maybe speak more to your uniqueness and your own identity, if that makes sense.
See, of course. But I think that when you show your identity in the front, you get really exposed. How do you feel about that? And when people talk about your music?
John.
See, the last question. I won't make any more questions about that. But I think because this radio, we fight a lot about musicians being transparent, honest musician or not. And I think that you're looking always to expose your identity. And how do you feel when people comes and I feel that song talks about another thing? How do you feel about that?
Like for me, if people feel something different on a song that we did not that was not our intention, but if it's something that makes them feel good or makes them feel like sad or whatever, if it triggers an emotion, I'm happy with it. They can take whatever they want from it. Okay. I think it's the moment you publish your music, it's not yours anymore. I don't mean like from an legal perspective. I mean, like people can make whatever they want from it. I think.
I have a fight with Manu about that. It's my song. I can't let them go. So it's hard for me to do that.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful in a way to hear people, I guess, extrapolate from what you've done and tell you, oh, this makes me think of this, or like this reminds me of this. I don't know personally, and I don't know if Agatha or Alia have had people like tell them that the songs, like the meaning, like the songs had a different meaning for them. I don't know if this specifically has really happened to me, but in terms of what other type of music or what the material of other musicians, like what this reminds some people of, like definitely heard people mention artists who I would never have thought about, for instance, that were not even at least not consciously, I guess, people we were trying to draw any influence from. And I think it's interesting, actually. I think it's great. Also, it's a nice compliment because I feel like this means that people are paying attention to what you say and what you've created, and they're trying to think about how it makes them feel and what kind of meaning. Honestly, if any of our song has any meaning to anyone whatsoever, it's a massive compliment. I think it's great.
Perfect. And for you, Alea, what do you think about that?
I think I would also agree with Agat that once your music is released, what is music really?
Okay.
For a musician,
let's fight.
For a musician, it's an expression of yourself, your truth. It teaches you something about yourself, and for a listener, it's the same. It probably teaches them something about themselves or helps them understand something about themselves. And there's a middle ground where the musician's meaning and the listener's interpretation is meeting, and you don't know where it's going to cross over, and you can't control it. And I guess the important thing is that if someone's listened to it and they've taken something away from it, that's already enough. It's already beautiful.
Perfect. Nice. Dos preguntas más, Manu, ¿se te parece? ¿Tenés alguna otra pregunta?
Sí, pero sí son muy largo esto.
Mil preguntas, sí.
Hablar de otras cosas, Raúl, pero me lo llevaste para
Perdón. Sí.
No es por pedir disculpas.
I always get really philosophical on the questions, and Manu likes to speak. Sí.
I want to talk a little about the social time in Berlin. You are 3 foreigners in Berlin. First of all, I'm from Argentina, Buenos Aires, so far from there. It's Berlin, a city who make you feel like a foreigner or not?
It depends. I think it's Jesus. Okay. I think it's a city where there's a lot of foreign people living in, and in that regard, you don't feel isolated as a foreigner. And a lot of the people around you are living through similar experiences of what it feels to be a foreigner in a country. So I think in that, yeah.
And the German people is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the second question is that experience influence in your music or not? You are not in the lyrics, in the message, in the identity, or not?
I think it's hard to entangle that because, like, I've lived abroad for the last 10 years. Alia has also been living abroad for quite a while. So it has an impact on us personally, but it's hard to measure it. Yeah.
I love the way you are for France, Pakistan, the name is Swiss. So I found a lot of flags.
We have a million questions. That's why we are
and
looking each other.
I wanna talk about the new sound. You know, you say you like the 70s sound, but today we have Fruity Loops, Ableton, a lot of soft. Do you start thinking about mixing that sound with your music or not?
I feel like we'll have a lot to say on this.
Okay.
I don't think we would necessarily exclude it. It hasn't really been a part of what we've done so far. I don't know if we would necessarily. I mean, it depends to what extent and how to be used. Sorry, Ali, I feel like you wanted to say, but like I'm thinking, for instance, I know. Ali, I'm gonna be like, I know you've been, you've been exploring a bit like the world of synths, etc. Like more recently, etc. So that maybe, I don't know, maybe this is something that could come up more in our creative process in the future. I don't know how the rest of the band feels about it, actually. We haven't really talked about it clearly. I think it's just like we have gone for what felt natural to us, which is more analog, I guess, because that's what we like. But yeah.
Excellent.
I think, and without getting too philosophical, there's always an idea about sounds being new and like being invented, or that something that's never existed before. But realistically, sound is a wave, like it's a waveform, like and it's on a spectrum. And so the idea of a sound being new in some ways doesn't make any sense. Like sound exists, and you control it, you manipulate it to get maybe what you hear in your head, or because you hear something pleasant, like you create the sound, and you find it pleasant in real time. So the idea of it, I think that the way, I don't know, again, I'm speaking for myself, I don't know, but I think that I don't think we approach this sound, or we approach our sound from this perspective of like incorporating something new or trying to find a new sound. I think we mostly go with what we feel works, like what expresses what we want to express. And maybe it has elements of new things in it. Maybe it has elements of old things in it, but these things have always coexisted. There's always been this interplay between like your lived experiences, the music you listen to as a kid, the music you listen to now, the music you hear from your friends or from new artists, or everything. And so yeah, it's not something we've talked about, but yeah, I think that's.
I make that question to all band, and I think it's the deviation, the debate. ¿Cómo se dice? The debate.
Se dice a fight between una lucha.
Today, I think that all the bands make that kind of question. That was the question.
So,
You are so
See.
clear.
We love what you are talking. We are going to meet again next year and have a lot of more questions. So now, thanks for your time. We only have 2 more questions and we are running out of time. Can you tell us something about the future plans of the band?
So we are planning a tour in the UK the first week of February. We'll announce more specific dates on our social medias. So that's a big thing for us because it's our first foreign country tour, and it's also a country where Ali has lived and where we know the music culture is very strong. So that's an important step. And we are planning to record another EP in the coming year.
Excellent.
With some more songs, and we're very excited.
Nice, beautiful. And you're going to meet us again next year. Muy bueno. Sí, nos estaban contando, Manu, que tienen una gira por... encima se van a Inglaterra, se van a Reino Unido a tocar en febrero. Y bueno, y están planeando hacer un EP con nuevos temas. And just to close the interview, we are going to play Orange Moon. Can you tell us something about that particular song?
Ali, I feel like you should take this one because you wrote the lyrics.
Orange Moon is... it's an anti-war song, and the lyrics mostly are exploring the idea that even during times of so-called peace, countries are still testing and developing nuclear weapons for who knows whatever scenario might come in the future, but who can imagine a scenario where a country is going to use nuclear weapons against a country? It doesn't make any sense. And so it's kind of, thinking about this idea, like the world we live in, where world leaders countries are still, committing these.
Beautiful to close.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for your time. We really love to speak with you. We are going to send you the interview when the live show ends, and thank you very much. See you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Speak soon. Bye.